Welcome back or welcome to Joy Unfiltered. I'm Rachel, your host, and I am so glad that you are here. This is a space where we stop pretending that burnout is the price of success and start exploring a different way to lead, live, and actually feel good in our lives. Because here is what I believe at my core. Joy is not the reward. Joy is the strategy. And in a world that's been built on pressure, urgency, and endurance, we're doing things differently around here. We are choosing energy over exhaustion, regulation over reactivity, connection over competition. And we are doing it in a way that's both grounded in science and perhaps a little bit of magic. So whether you are walking, driving, lifting something heavy, or just taking a breath in the middle of a busy day, just know you are in the right place. So let's get started. Today, we're going to talk about something that actually might feel a little edgy, a little disruptive, maybe even, dare I say, a little bit woo-woo. And I want to name that right away because I don't want you to turn this off and I don't want you to dismiss it before you actually hear it. Because what we often label as woo-woo is usually just science that hasn't fully made its way into everyday conversation yet. So here's where we are going today. Your thoughts are not harmless. Let me say that again. Your thoughts are not harmless. They are generative. And joy is one of the most powerful creative states you have access to. Now let's start somewhere grounded because I always want to bring this back to something real. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. That's not mindset. That's physics. Everything is energy. Your body is energy. Your brain is electrical activity. Your thoughts are electrochemical signals. Your emotions are biochemical responses moving through your system. So when you have a thought, it's not just something abstract floating around in your head. It is a full body event. Neurons fire, signals move, chemicals are released, your heart rate shifts, your breath changes, your posture adjusts, your muscles either tighten or soften. So when people say your thoughts create your reality, let's clean that up a bit so it actually lands. Your thoughts create your internal state. Your internal state shapes your behavior. Your behavior shapes your outcomes. And that's the loop. And when you repeat that loop over and over and over again, you don't just create a moment. You actually create patterns. You create habits. You create a way of being. You create a life. Now, layer in your nervous system because this is where things start to click on a whole different level. Your nervous system has one primary job, and it's not your goals. It is certainly not your dreams and absolutely not your to-do list. Your nervous system, its job is to keep you alive. So it is constantly scanning your environment and your internal experience, asking one question over and over again. Am I safe? And based on the answer, it decides whether you open or whether you protect. And this is happening all day long, mostly outside of your conscious awareness. So if your system perceives stress, urgency, pressure, overwhelm, or even subtle versions of those, it shifts you into protection mode. And in protection mode, in that state, your thinking narrows, your creativity drops, your decision-making becomes more reactive. You default to what's familiar instead of what is possible. Your body tightens, your breath gets shallow, and you become incredibly efficient at survival, but not very effective at creation. And this is where I want to pause just for a second, because this is a big one. You can be highly productive and still not be creating anything new. You can be checking boxes. You can be getting things done, moving things forward, and still be operating in a state that is just maintaining what already exists. That is endurance. And we've been taught to worship endurance. Push harder, do more, stay longer, be stronger, outwork everyone, don't stop, don't slow down, don't fall behind. Endurance has been positioned as the gold standard. But here's the truth that actually might sting a little bit. Endurance is survival with good PR. It's just survival with good PR. It looks impressive. It sounds admirable. It gets rewarded in a lot of environments. But it often comes at the cost of your energy, your creativity, your clarity, your connection, and yep, your joy. Which is why the first pillar of joy-led leadership is energy over endurance. Because energy is what creates. Energy is what allows your brain to function at a high level. Energy is what allows your body to feel safe enough to open. Energy is what fuels clarity, creativity, and connection. Energy is not extra. Energy is foundational. And this is where we bring joy into the conversation. Because joy is not just a feeling you get after everything is done. Joy is a state of expansion. When you experience joy, even in small amounts, your nervous system shifts out of protection and into openness. And when that happens, your brain chemistry changes. You get more dopamine, which is associated with motivation, learning, and reward. Your prefrontal cortex becomes more active, which improves decision-making, problem-solving, and emotional regulation. Your attention widens. You literally perceive more options, more solutions, more opportunities. This is called cognitive flexibility, and it's one of the most important traits of effective, adaptive, high-level leaders. So when people say joy is how we co-create with the universe, let's bring that down to earth in a way that actually makes sense. Joy puts your brain and body into a state where creation is possible. That's it. That's it. Now, if we zoom out just a little bit, this is where things start to feel bigger and get really exciting. If everything is energy, and your thoughts create energy, and your state shapes your behavior, then every moment you are generating something. not just internally, but externally. Because your nervous system doesn't just regulate you, it communicates. This is called co-regulation. Other people's nervous systems are constantly reading yours. Before you say a word, before you present an idea, before you lead a meeting, before you walk into a room, people feel you. And this is science. If you walk in stressed, rushed, tight, that energy spreads. But if you walk in grounded, open, present, that energy spreads as well. That is why one regulated leader can change the entire dynamic of a room without saying anything different. Because leadership is not just what you say, it's the state you bring. And that state is felt. So let's connect this back to your everyday life. Your thoughts create your internal state. Your state shapes your behavior. Your behavior influences others. Others respond differently. Different responses create different outcomes. That's the ripple. And isn't that cool? That's the ripple. It's not magical, but incredibly powerful. And this is why joy matters so much. Because joy doesn't just make your life feel better. Joy changes what you are capable of creating. And yet, most people are still just waiting for it. I'll feel good when this is done. I'll relax when I hit this goal. I'll enjoy this when things calm down. And in the meantime, they are trying to build their life, their business, their relationships, their leadership from a state of stress, urgency, and pressure. That's like trying to drive with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. And believe me, I actually don't think that works. That's exhausting. And it is super inefficient. So this shift is simple. Not always easy, but the shift is simple. Joy is not the reward. Joy is the strategy. Joy is the state you choose to create from. And the beautiful part is that this is all trainable. It's all learnable. You don't have to wait for joy to show up. You can generate it. Not by forcing it, and certainly not by pretending everything is fine, because we know it's not always fine, but by shifting your state in small, consistent ways. So let's talk about what that actually looks like. Because I never want to leave you with an idea without giving you a way to practice it. The first thing is this: you regulate before you create. You regulate before you create. If you are dysregulated, if you are in a heightened state of stress, if your system feels unsafe, you are not in a creative state. So before you try to solve this problem, before you try to make the decision, before you try to push forward, pause. I want you to pause and breathe. This could be something as simple as box breathing. Box breathing can change your state. You inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Do that a couple of times. What you are signaling is signaling safety to your nervous system. And safety, what we talked about before, is what allows expansion. The second thing is you use your body to shift your state. Your body is not separate from your mind. It is part of the same system. So if you are sitting in stress, thinking your way out of it is often not the quickest path. Moving your body is. Stand up, shake out your arms, roll your shoulders, walk around, put on a song and do a little solo dance party, but just move for 30 seconds. That movement changes your chemistry. It increases dopamine. It interrupts the stress loop. It creates momentum. And the third thing is you direct your attention. We talked about this before, but your brain has a negativity bias. It is wired to look for problems. So if you do not intentionally guide your attention, it will default to what is wrong, what is missing, what needs fixing. So you practice noticing something beautiful, something interesting, something that makes you smile. And I know that sounds simple, but it is not insignificant. It's training your brain to see possibility. And the fourth thing is you interrupt your thought loops. When your mind is spinning, you don't always need a better thought. You need space. You can gently tap on your collarbone. This is EFT, if those of you know this. You can gently tap on your collarbone or your hand and say something as simple as, I don't have to solve everything right now. I don't have to solve everything right now. And just that can soften your system enough to create a shift. And then the fifth thing is you ask a better question. Instead of asking, what do I need to do? You ask, what state am I in right now? And then, what would shift me even 10% more towards openness? Because you don't need a full transformation in a moment. You need a slight shift. And slight shifts, repeated over time, create massive change. So as we start to wrap this up, I want to bring you back to the core idea. You are not stuck because you need a better plan. You are stuck because you are trying to create from a state that was not designed for creation. And the moment you shift your state, you shift what is possible immediately. So the next time you feel pressure, urgency, tightness, overwhelm, instead of pushing harder, I want you to pause. I want you to pause and ask yourself, am I creating from contraction or expansion? Because contraction protects, but expansion creates. And the fastest pathway to expansion is not more effort. It is a shift in state. It is a return to energy. It is a willingness to create from a place that actually supports what you are trying to build. And that place is joy. If this episode resonated with you, I would love for you to take a second, hit the subscribe button, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, or leave a quick review. It helps more people to find this space and be part of what we are building together. And if something shifted for you today, even just a little bit, that matters. That's how this work works. And I would love to hear, so drop me a comment. And from my heart to yours, I'm Rachel, and I am celebrating you today and every day. So have fun, live well, enjoy.